Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from any part of the world where you may be joining us from. You're welcome to How Not to Do First Aid, a free first aid course from Educate. In today's lesson, we are going to be looking at how to do CPR. Welcome to Educate. What then is CPR? CPR means cardiopulmonary resuscitation. Cardiopulmonary resuscitation. Now, there are two words here that we have to pay attention to. Here is cardio, which refers to the heart. Right? And of course, pulmonary. Pulmonary refers to the lungs. So we have cardiopulmonary resuscitation, meaning resuscitation attempts or resuscitation efforts that involves both the heart and the lungs. The whole idea behind cardiopulmonary resuscitation is for the first aider or the rescuer to temporarily take over the function of the heart and that of the lungs. Remember, the heart is responsible for pumping blood all over the body. It helps to pump blood, to circulate blood to all parts of the body. And of course, the lungs is the one that is responsible for delivering oxygen, which is vital for life. So as soon as the heart stops beating in cardiac arrest, we need to start CPR so as to ensure that circulation is maintained, as well as the delivery of oxygen is also sustained. Now, who needs CPR? In the third lesson, we discussed the steps to take when an individual collapses, but the individual is breathing. We said after confirming that this individual is breathing, although he's unconscious, then all we need to do is to put the person in recovery position while we wait for emergency medical team to arrive, or while we take further steps to treat the person, the victim. However, when someone has collapsed and is not breathing or not breathing normally, there is what we call gasping. Gasping. When somebody is gasping for breath, it should not be seen as a normal breathing. Gasping is what happens when the heart stops beating, right? It's spasmodic. It's like the person is convulsing, breathing unconsciously, and it comes every now and then. It is not like the normal breathing. So if this person is unconscious, or if the person has collapsed and this person is not breathing or not breathing normally or gasping, then such a person needs cardiopulmonary resuscitation. Now, why should we institute cardiopulmonary resuscitation? Why CPR? CPR is essential because it can actually keep a victim or a casualty alive until emergency services arrive. the heart has stopped beating, the person is not breathing. So what CPR does is to take over the function of the heart and the lungs until further help arrives. It is a means to sustain life. It is a means to ensure that the brain is not starved of oxygen. It is a means to ensure that all vital organs continue to get nourishment pending the time that the heart would restart again. You may be thinking, can I actually know how to do CPR? I think CPR is highfalutin. It's for medical people. You are very wrong. Learning CPR skill is as simple as A, B, C. Yes, but all we have to remember is to add DRS to our ABC. So if you can remember doctor's ABC, then you have known the steps to take to commence cardiopulmonary resuscitation. Dr. ABC. What does this Dr. ABC, what does it mean? D is for danger. Remember, we cannot emphasize this enough. When you are trying to help a victim, you should not put yourself in danger, because when you become another victim, you will not be useful for the person you are trying to help. So you have to look right and left, up and down, and around the patient to be sure that there is no harm in the way before you approach the person. Now, R refers to as response. Response, is this person sleeping, or is this person unconscious, or is this person dead? There are ways to determine if someone is sleeping, and the way you're going to do that is by checking for responsiveness. You tap on the shoulders, just like we have discussed in previous lessons. You tap on the shoulder, you shout the person's name, you can twist the air and cause some pain and see if this person responds or not. If this person is not responding, right, then the next thing you must necessarily do is to shout for help. First aid is not something you can do by yourself. You will need people to assist you to help that person. So when you confirm that this person is not responding, then you want to scream for help. You want to shout for help. The next thing you want to do is to check the airway. All right? Is this person breathing? Is the airway open? How do you do this? When an individual collapses and is lying on the back, right, as demonstrated in this diagram, you will observe that if this is the airway, look at the airway here. On getting to this place, it is completely cut off. All right? The airway is completely cut off from both the mouth and the nose region to the lower part, right? It is completely cut off. The structure you are seeing here is the tongue. The tongue has fallen back and it has completely cut off the airway. So this person cannot, breathe because the airway is totally occluded. Now, how do you go around that to ensure that the tongue gets out of the way and the airway is open? All right. So there are just two steps. You tilt the head in that direction, right? you tilt the head and lift the chin. By tilting the head and lifting the chin, then the airway, the tongue, moves out of the way and allow a continuous flow of air by opening the airway. In actual fact, this might be the only thing you need to do to rescue this person from dying, because as long as the airway remains blocked or obstructed, then the chances of survival becomes very, very slim. Now, how do you ensure that this person is breathing? Right? Now, if you look at this position, the eye is looking at the chest. All right? You need to look. Right? You look and watch for chest movements. Right? The only objective way to confirm that somebody is breathing is to look at the movement of the chest. All right? Now, you also want to feel the breath against your cheek. All right? If somebody is breathing and the air is coming out, you can easily feel it, against your cheek if you move close enough. And you also want to listen. You can see that the air is very close to the nose region. All right? So you look for chest movements. You feel. You feel for breathing, all right? And you feel the breath against your cheek, and you also want to listen. You want to listen for breath sounds, all right? So a combination of look, feel, and listen will confirm if this person is actually breathing or this person is not breathing. Now, if you confirm that this person is unresponsive, all right, from checking for response R, and is not breathing, all right, you want to start CPR immediately. You want to start CPR immediately, all right? Now, just before you start CPR, remember you have shouted for help. You must ensure that help has either arrived, somebody is with you, or help is on the way. Because the moment you start CPR, starting with chest compression, it is wise not to stop. Because the moment you stop chest compression, then the chances of survival of that person diminishes. So ensure that help is on its way, or somebody is with you, because chest compression or CPR is energy sapping, right? So by the time you get tired, somebody else can take over chest compression from you. So you want to ensure that before you start, you have help. The last item on Dr. ABC, C. C means circulation. Circulation. Right? When the heart stops beating, we must necessarily, as a matter of urgency, take over the function of the heart. The heart is responsible for circulation of blood through the entire body system. So we need to take over the function of the heart by pushing hard and fast on the chest. This shall be described shortly. Now, is where the job is. This is where the work is. How do you do CPR? Right? Now, the first thing is hand positioning. You know, you need to put the heel of one hand at the center of the chest. The heel of one hand at the center of the chest. And then you place the other hand over that first hand and lock it up. Just like it is, just like we have it here. All right? You will see that the heel of this hand is placed on the center of the chest, and the second hand, the fingers of the second hand are inserted into the spaces of the first hand and is locked up, is held very, very firmly. You will also notice that the hand is not placed towards the end of the chest region, because at this point there is one soft bone here. All right, there's a soft bone that can easily get broken when you press too hard on it. So you want to avoid that area. All right, and after positioning the hand correctly at the center of the chest, you want to proceed by positioning your own body. And how do you do that? You know, remember, you are kneeling down on the side of the patient, and you're kneeling down and placing your hand on the chest should not look like, you know, what we do when we are trying to grind pepper. You know, that our knees is somewhere, then our hands are stretched and we are trying to grind the pepper. No, you need to bring yourself up, lock the elbows, right? You need to lock the elbows. The elbows must remain straight, you know, during the compression. And the shoulders must be brought directly above the chest. The two shoulders must be directly above the chest. So with this position, we are ready to start CPR with chest compression. And we need to push hard. Push hard to a depth of at least 5 centimeters. You know, 5 centimeters. You may be wondering, wow, 5 centimeters, will that not cause, you know, a damage, or will that not injure this person? 5 centimeters. Somebody whose heart has stopped beating cannot get hurt. In fact, the worst thing you can do to someone whose heart has stopped beating, to someone who is in cardiac arrest, is to do nothing. All right? So you need to push hard, and you need to push fast. You know, about 2 compressions per second, because that will give you about, you know, 100 to 120 compressions in 1 minute. All right, you need to push hard, you need to push fast, and remember, do not rest on the chest. After each compression, allow the chest to come back to its original position before you go for the second compression. And you want to count out loud: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. And then you start again. And then you start again. All right? So this is how you ensure that this person has another chance of life. All right? And you have to keep on doing this until the person begins to respond, or until help arrives. All right? Now, if there's any query or question about other reasons why you think that someone might stop, chest compression or stop CPR, we can discuss it later. Yeah, remember we said cardiopulmonary. So the chest compression is already taking care of the cardiac aspects. We have taken over the function of the heart, by doing chest compression at a rate of 100 to 120 compressions per minute and at a depth of at least 5 centimeters. Now, how do we take over the function of the lungs? How do we ensure that this person continues to get oxygen? Now, this requires training. It requires hands-on training, physical training, for you to be able to do mouth-to-mouth, resuscitation, or for you to be able to use, a pocket mask, or for you to be able to use a bag mask device, you will need training. Now, for those who are not trained in the art of CPR, chest compression alone has been found to improve the chance of survival for individuals who are in cardiac arrest. So if you don't know how to do rescue breath, or if you have not been trained to do rescue breath, then you want to continue compression only CPR. We can actually add another step to our doctors A, B, C. We can add a D if we are trained. All right? So this D represents defibrillation. Defibrillation. See, what happens when an individual is in cardiac arrest is that the heart is beating abnormally. The heart has abnormal rhythm. So what defibrillation does is to stop this abnormal rhythm and give the heart, the opportunity to restart normally again. Defibrillation. And how do we ensure defibrillation? Defibrillation is done by using automated external defibrillator. Automated external defibrillator. Now, don't bug your head with the big names. AED is a very common device. In actual fact, in places where things work, wherever, in many of the public places, supermarket or shopping mall or stadium or, big markets or theaters, anywhere where you would have large crowd of people, then you will always find an AED, because anybody can slump at any time, anybody can go into cardiac arrest at any time. So they ensure that they put an AED in a very visible place where an individual, whenever somebody slumps and the person is not breathing, and people can immediately call for the AED to be brought over. Immediately you confirm that this person is no longer breathing, you say, please get me an AED and get an ambulance. All right, those are the two things that you call for. And this machine is so easy. So easy. It is easy because it is automated. It will tell you what to do. All right, so you can never go wrong with an AED. How to place the pads, what to do after placing the pads. The machine by itself will analyze the heart rhythm by itself. The machine by itself will tell you whether this person would require a shock or not. All right? However, you need to be trained in the use of AED before you can actually use AED. So if you are not trained and you are not confident in giving a rescue breath to deliver oxygen, and you have not been trained in the use of AED, you can continue with compression only CPR. By way of summary, these are the steps to take in order to administer CPR to anyone who is in cardiac arrest. D, doctors ABC, and if you are trained, you can add a D. D for danger, ensure that the place is safe, the area is safe before you go in. R, you have to check for responsiveness. Is this person sleeping? Is this person unconscious? Is this person dead? Right? And you also want to, immediately after confirming that this person is not responding, you want to shout for help. You want to shout for help so that somebody can come over to assist you. You want to shout for help so that somebody can go and call the ambulance. You want to shout for help for someone to bring the AED. And of course, you want to check the airway, and you want to ensure that the airway is open by doing your head tilt, chin lift maneuver. All right? Then you also want to ensure that this person breathing or not, by looking at the chest. Look, is the chest moving? All right? Feel the breath on your cheek, and listen to breath sounds, coming from the person's mouth and nostril. All right? And the C components is that of circulation. The heart is no longer beating, meaning that circulation of oxygen and other nutrients no longer goes to vital organs, and you need to start chest compression immediately. And if you are trained in the use of the defibrillator, you also want to use the defibrillating machine. What this does is to stop all abnormal rhythms in the heart, such that the heart can regain its normal beat. If you have any questions or queries, please do not hesitate to let us know. Thank you very much for listening. Continue to be the help.